Hello, good morning. Welcome back to Planet AP. If you're new here, it's crazy out here, but you're gonna love it. Today, the intention of today's video, I'm gonna give you a short disclaimer about what to expect in this. If you wanna stay, you're welcome to stay. And the reason I'm doing this is because I know that we have a global audience and people from all different cultures and religions here. And I noticed some people when I would talk about faith in some of my videos, they were like, oh, you should have said that you were gonna talk about it. So I'm telling you, and the intention is very simple. The intention is that I believe that this is information that is relatable and relevant to everyone, okay? And what I'm going to talk about today is forgiveness, divine forgiveness, and the parables that we can draw from that into our own life. Now, of course, I am a Muslim, so I will be speaking about these things from the lens of Islam and Quran, all right? So, of course, I know that my Muslims out there, you guys are definitely tuning in, but no matter what your religion, I am because I sometimes will listen to people talk about faith who are not Muslims as well, right? I've learned a lot about spirituality from people who weren't Muslims, so I do believe that this doesn't have anything to do with the umbrella of our religion, because at the end of the day, God is the same for all of us, right? The second part is, I had a point and I lost it. Hold up. The second part is that it is the month of Ramadan, right? And for those of you who don't know what that is, it is a holy month for Muslims where we fast for 30 days, and that fast isn't just meant to keep us from hunger or thirst. It's meant to teach us to disconnect from our 3D, from our physical human body, because this religion, it's so heavy on the theme of we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And that is what I love about the month of Ramadan, and I never understood it so deeply until now, and it's shocking. Like, I'm 25, been fasting my whole life, but this is truly the first time that the depth of it has sunk in for me, where it's like, oh wow. Because when you're not eating, and when you're prohibited, when you're keeping away from different sins, and when you're being super mindful of what you say, how you act, how you behave, and you're praying and you're connecting with God at night in prayers, and everything is about a surrender to submission to God, to the will of God. And ultimately, that is what we talk about as well. When we talk about quantum leaps, when we talk about living from faith, right? Faith is blind belief in the unseen. Faith is disconnecting from the physical body, from your human experience, and connecting with your spiritual experience and your knowing of what exists beyond this world. And this entire month is a month for us to celebrate that, right? And one of the biggest themes of Ramadan is forgiveness. So that's what I wanted to talk about, because I also got an email, and I'm gonna, the beautiful woman who sent me that email, her email is one of the reasons that inspired this video as well. But also because when I was growing up and I learned about forgiveness, right? I had a very interestingly negative belief about it. So what I had understood forgiveness to be was that, the fact that we have to seek forgiveness all the times is an implication of our inherent unworthiness. That we constantly need to beg for God to not throw us in hell. And there's this God up there who just wants to punish you and just throw you in hell, and you have to obey, and you have to pray, and you have to do all these things externally so that you don't get burned in fire. And that made me not like God a lot. Because coupled with that was this distorted understanding of religion as well, right? That, to be religious means to not live a good life, a happy life. To be religious means to just be in misery all the time and just live for the akhirah, which is the day of judgment, and that means you can't have fun, and that means you can't play, and that means this. And I was like, God, what did I do to deserve to be even born in this silly little human experience? There's no joy out here, right? And that was such a sad understanding of forgiveness and faith in God. And that is why I'm making this video, because I know that pain that I went through, I know it wasn't just mine alone. And I know that there are so many other people out there who have had or who still have these beliefs about God. And my purpose and my intention is to bridge that gap. See, I'm not a scholar, right? I haven't memorized the Quran, but I know a little bit. And my intention is just to share the little bit that I know with everything. because I see so much correlation between this and the work that I do. Our quantum leaping, like it's the same thing. When you draw parables from God's book, when you draw parables from the way that God talks about forgiveness and mercy and kindness and all of those things, you realize that we're all speaking the same thing. There's no separation between, how do I put this? There is no separation between anything, really. There is no separation. It is so interconnected, right? And I think forgiveness is a huge, huge, huge part of quantum leaping into a new reality. So the theme of today is forgiveness, all right? Without further ado. Now, I will tell you this might get a bit long, so thanks for sticking around. But I'm sure that you will find a lot of value out of it, because I sure did. Like, all of this information here, it's stuff that I learned over years. And then it finally came together and I was like, oh my God, I never knew it this way, right? Because God is love. But when we don't know God like that, we don't feel that love like that either. And I think that's our biggest fallacy, this distortion of who God is, and this projection of our own limitations on the divine, and then feeling ways that we shouldn't be feeling because it's not true, right? So let's get to this. No, let's start here. Now, when let's say this is you right now, and you're like, oh, I want to quantum leap into a reality where there's so much love for me, so much abundance for me, where I am this, I'm that, and everything's just wonderful, da-da-da. And right now, your current reality is mirroring that. You have reasons to feel ashamed all the time, and you're feeling guilty, and there's problems, and things are just not working. Now, by the way, this chart paper is more for me than for you. So if you can't see it, because there's a lot of text on it, the reason is that it's more for me is because these are my notes, literally. I was gonna do a video setting, but I was like, but I like standing more, right? So anyways, now when you're leaping from this reality to this one, basically what we're doing is you're shifting an entire timeline, remember? And that means that all of these things that you carried within your energy field, they need to go. The past, the energy of the past, the unworthiness, the doubt, the lack, all of those things, when they're collected in your energy field, that is what creates that, mirrors that experience out in front of you. So how do you clear this energy? Forgiveness. You clear this energy through forgiveness, because forgiveness isn't just an I'm sorry. It goes so much deeper than that. And I am so excited to explore that with you today. All right. Because this literally is about, it doesn't matter what you've done in your life. It does not matter. I remember there were so many points in my life where I felt like, all right, I'm gone. There's no repentance for someone like me. I've done this wrong and I've done that wrong and I did this, and I carried so much guilt, and life gave me more reasons to be guilty. And the thing is that until we get rid of and let go intentionally of the guilt and the shame and everything else from back there, we keep experiencing it, because we may constantly be asking God to forgive us, but we're not letting it go ourselves. We're still holding on to it. We're still affirming the same story. We're still speaking from that same narrative. So either your faith in God is so little that you don't believe that you got forgiven, or you've forgotten the depth of God's mercy, right? But either way, that's the bridge I want to gap today. Gap I want to bridge today. Bridge I want to gap today? That's the gap I want to bridge today. I think it's the gap. Anyways, but and Ramadan is the perfect time for it as well, because we are all submitting in different acts of worship during this month, right? But our external acts can be so on point. And if our internal isn't there, then what are we doing? I know of people who will finish reciting the entire Quran 2, 3, 4 times throughout the month, and they're just like, oh, I'm so religious. But then they speak unkindly, and they live with guilt and shame, and their iman, the light of their faith in the unseen, is so constricted. And so we don't want to be those people this month, because quantum leaping, I want you to understand, is the way of life. It's the God-given way of life. That's how God has written the laws of life for us. It's for our ease. This isn't something scientific, or this isn't something that a mathematician gave you. This is something that has been your birthright, and God's told you from the get-go. So this is a remembrance of how easy life gets to be for us, right? Now, I want to talk about divine forgiveness, right? Now, it's really interesting that in the Quran, a lot of the verses that talk about Allah's forgiveness, where Allah is describing that, like you forgive, so on, no matter what you do, if you ask for forgiveness, He'll forgive. It comes with the two words coupled together, Ghafurur Rahim. Ghafurur Rahim. It ends with Ghafurur Rahim. Allah, and I think that this is so beautiful, right? So the word Ghafur comes from constantly forgiving. And the word Rahim comes from infinitely merciful. But I want to go a little bit deeper in this, because when I learned this, it just blew me away. Now, Rahim comes from the Arabic root word Raham, which is the word for a mother's womb. A mother's womb. Now, a womb, when a mother, she's pregnant and the baby's inside the womb, what does the baby have to do for the mother to take care of the baby? Nothing. The baby grows and it causes the mother pain. Does the mother ever get mad at the baby? How dare you kick me? Oh, I had sleepless nights because if you haven't been there. No, the mother is like, oh my God, my baby, I just want you to be safe. She nourishes and she nurtures and she provides and she, it's like a safe space for the baby. Doesn't even know what the mother is going through. The baby has no idea what mountains the mother is moving for it. For the baby, everything's just fine and dandy. And I think that it is so beautiful that this word is what God couples with his constant forgiveness, is that mercy. Because it's not just mercy. We have this understanding of the word mercy as, you did something wrong and I'll have mercy on you. I'm better than you, so there's this, energy around mercy. But because English fails us sometimes, right? Which is why the root word raham, care, love, unconditional nurturing, that's the actual meaning. God's care and his forgiveness for you. You have no idea how God protects you, how he does everything for you. Because here's the thing, remember that Allah is the doer of everything. This world, it's a veil for his command. The water doesn't quench your thirst, God does. The food doesn't satiate you, God satiate your hunger, God does. And so Raham is that implication that you have no idea. You have no idea all the ways God takes care of you. So Allah is literally telling you each time he talks about forgiving, each time he mentions forgiveness, is telling you, constantly forgiving, and I love you like a mother loves the baby in the womb. And Allah tells us he loves us more than 70 mothers. Imagine that's the raham of one mother. Multiplied by 70, you cannot comprehend it. There's so much love there, so much care there. Because for forgiveness to happen, there needs to be this softness of the heart, right? A hard heart cannot forgive. And notice how unconditional this forgiveness is. Because when the baby is growing and stretching, the mother's body will go through so much, but she'll never hate the baby for that pain. She just loves more and more. She's like, no. I will protect this baby with everything that I have. Doesn't matter what the baby does. And constantly, Allah has told us that you come to me with a mountain of sins, sincerely just wanting forgiveness. I will forgive you, and I'll turn those into good deeds for you. Now notice how forgiveness, when Allah mentions sincere forgiveness, he says literally, I will wipe that slate clean for you. Like it didn't happen. When you are quantum leaping into a new reality, all of this from your field, you ask for forgiveness to let go of the burdens of your own energy field. So and God is already telling you that, look, listen, it's done. You ask for forgiveness, consider it done. Move like it's done. So that when you engage in that act of forgiveness, you liberate your soul and you quantum leap the next day, that night. Because God has created life that to be that easy for you. The reason we don't feel the power of it is because we don't believe in it. We don't believe in the power because honestly, we don't even know it that well. Think about Musa alayhi salam. Musa alayhi salam, he killed a man accidentally, but he killed someone and he ran away from the city and he went like, I'm in need of whatever favor you can bestow upon me. He ran away from the city and he has nowhere to go and he's just like, oh my God, I messed up. And he asks Allah for forgiveness. Does Allah say, no, you go to prison now? No, God forgave. Khalas, forgiven. And then he got a wife, and then he got a job, and then he got kids, and he had a beautiful family, and so on and so forth. We did not come here in this world to be perfect. We all have a past. We've all done terrible things. We've been unkind. We've been unconsciously or consciously, but we've all done things that we're not proud of. But most of us, we wear those things as an armor, as a badge of unworthiness. That, oh, I don't deserve anything now. No, God never said that you have to live like that. He literally tells you to just ask him for forgiveness. Khalas, it's over. It's over, it's over, it's over, over and over again, over and over again. But our forgiveness doesn't have that depth, that power, that recognition that, oh my God, I am cleansing my soul. I am liberating myself. So much so that when I get done with seeking forgiveness, when I walk up, I am a new person because I know that God forgave me. Where is your trust in God, right? In the Battle of Uhud, Prophet, peace be upon him, he told the Muslims, he was like, you have to stand on top of the mountain. Don't move until I give you the cue. Stay there until I tell you what to do next. And there were those people who retreated from the position, and that cost them that battle. They lost because of it. After the battle, the Prophet, peace be upon him, he was, of course, he upset with those companions. And Allah revealed to him, and I'm going to just tell you the gist of it. But what was revealed to him was the fact that, Allah tells him that I've forgiven them. And it's so kind of you that you've forgiven them as well. And then he was commanded to actually treat those companions who had upset him by blatant disobedience. Imagine, like, he is the prophet. You are a Muslim and you defied the prophet in front of his face. And Allah tells Muhammad that you treat them with kindness. You still ask them for advice because if it weren't for your love and your mercy, they wouldn't be with you. They wouldn't follow you. Do you recognize the power and the implication of that? That love, mercy, kindness, forgiveness, that is the foundation of everything. That is the law of life. That even then God did not punish those people. So our entire understanding of God being punishing and wanting to throw us in hell is wrong. And this month we get to bridge that spiritual gap and be like, God, I'm here. I want to clear my energy field. I want you to forgive me. I want you to nourish me. I want you to heal me. And then that's where you establish your new convictions. It's all connected. Forgiveness isn't just about justice or like, I am still so angry at this person because they did this for me and they did this to me and they did that to me. Okay, cool. But who's hurting because you're still carrying the pain? You. I understand that there are situations and people in our lives that have been, they're just atrocities. But the longer you carry the pain, the more you keep yourself from the joy, the fulfillment, the light that you're seeking. Forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you and your soul. It's literally like submitting to God and surrendering and be like, you know what, God, you take care of this. I don't want to carry this burden. I will forgive them because I know that you're going to carry my justice for me. That's it. Forgiveness is a spiritual act because it tells the ego to shut up. It tells because the ego, your ego mind loves to be right. It loves to be logical. It loves to make sense of everything. It loves to be like, no, I'm better than this person. I'm better than that person. Your ego mind has all of these. That's our lower self, right? So forgiveness is an act of your higher self. It's an act of telling that ego mind, shh, you sit down. I don't serve you. I serve one master and that's God. I submit to the will of God. And that means submitting to your liberation. To be like, all right, you know what? Because when you have love and mercy and kindness in your heart, you will notice from a higher level of consciousness, even when people are being absolutely cruel and atrocious and bitter and disgusting human beings, you see that they are at a limited level of consciousness. And you keeping your anger will do nothing to them. So they already harmed you once, and by keeping that in you, you're allowing them to harm you again. You gotta make your story about you, not them. You have to, because otherwise you'll keep feeling stuck in the same reality, stuck by the same laws of life, with the same convictions. Because to quantum leap means to truly, truly, truly surrender to whatever has happened up until this moment and say, you know what? All right, it did happen, but what do I want my life to be now? How do I want to collapse time? Do I want to live in this perpetuation of misery? Because I am sure you don't. And when you cry to God, when you cry to Allah, when you're on that prayer mat and you're just like crying, like, He's got you. Even if you don't have any friends, even if no one in the world is in your corner, God is. And what is a human to the divine? There have been moments in my life where I felt like I had nobody at all, not even God. And in those moments, I was ready to end my life. But you know what stopped me? God did. God intervened. He sent a sign. He held my heart when I was barely breathing. And those were some of the times where I was living a life of clear defiance, right? I was just on a whole other level. But God held me because He wanted me to know that His raham is not conditional. That everything He tells you to do or not do is for you. It's not because of Him. He's not a conditional God. He's not a human. It doesn't matter if you drank, if you did zina. It doesn't matter if you listen to music. Whatever it is that your sin is, right? It doesn't matter. In the court of God, Musa alayhi salam killed a man. Allah said, all right, you're truly repenting for it. Cool, forgiven, move on, move on, move on. Why do we go for Umrah? Why do people go for Hajj? Forgive, clear your field. I think as much as it is an actual physical journey, it's a symbolic spiritual journey as well. That when you go there, you are intending that, yes, expect the best out of God. Yes, Allah is forgiving me. So that means when I come back, my life's going to be so different. Anticipate it, right? Now, the first thing now I'm just going to talk about 3 more things and then we're going to call it a day. But the first thing is forgiveness is regenerating. Now, when Allah says He's Al-Ghafur, that means He wipes away the sins, wipes away all the stuff in your field like it never existed. And Ar-Rahim is for nurtures, heals, and restores. So forgiveness is a 2-way street. It's a wiping away of the old, and then it's a nourishing and regenerating of the new. It restores. So God is like, in the act of forgiveness is not just about, oh my God, I sinned and I did this. No, it's about, all right, I'm ready for this quantum leap. I'm ready for a new version of me. I'm ready for a higher reality. And I'm ready to let go of all that was. So God, please erase that and nourish me, nurture me, take care of me while I transition into a new timeline. That's what it is. That's how beautiful it is. It's so loving. It's not just, oh yeah, okay, fine, you're not going to hell. No, it's all right. No worries. Don't worry about it. You slipped. It's okay. It's all right. Everyone makes mistakes. And so God forgives you. He wipes your slate clean. And then He nourishes you and He protects you and He takes care of you. Care. Unconditional care. How beautiful is that? That forgiveness literally rejuvenates you. It's like a spa for your soul, right? And then the womb analogy is that God's mercy is as nurturing, protective, and unconditional. So when you were seeking forgiveness, or when you are giving forgiveness, asking for forgiveness and giving forgiveness, it is an act of a quantum reset. It is a rebirth. That's why you're going to notice, even in modern spirituality or ancient times, and from Hawaii, there's this prayer, Ho'oponopono, which is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, right? Just doing this prayer itself clears your energy field, cleans your perception of the world, changes everything around you. Dr. Hugh Lin, he's the one who modernized it, and it became popular and popularized it, but he went to the psychiatric ward, and it was like something about, I think it was a criminal psychiatric ward, and the state of that hospital or that place was terrible. The nurses didn't want to stay. Nobody wanted to work there anymore. People were just like, the patients over there were there's so much violence going on there day in and day out. And Dr. Hugh, when he was contacted, he came and he looked at the files, and day in and day out for 4 years, what he would do is he would read the files and he would say, God, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. That I'm sorry for whatever I perceived in them, because if I can perceive it in them, it means it exists in my level of consciousness. Please forgive me for what I may have done consciously or unconsciously. Thank you, I love you, because forgiveness is like putting a foot on your ego and saying, shut up, and connecting to your higher self, and then connecting to God from that place, from the spiritual you. And he did this for 4 years, and in 4 years, that facility closed down because there were no more patients left. He did not therapize those people the ordinary way. He barely said hello to them, but he forgave his own field, and he asked the divine to forgive. Because that's what it all comes down to. When we want this to change, we clear what we've been holding unconsciously. The guilt, the shame, because the longer you carry guilt and shame in your life, it's going to be mirrored back to you. What does Allah say? God does not change the state of a people until they change what's inside them. What is inside you? What's inside you? What are you carrying? So this month, the greatest thing that you can do is build a deeper connection with God, not just by reading the Arabic of the Quran, but really talking to God. Sitting down and talking like you're having a conversation with your best friend. Open up and then be like, God, I love you so much. And I don't know, but like, in May 2003, I did this. Whatever you can remember, just clear every single thing, until by the end of this month, you feel like a rejuvenated soul, a different person. Because that is the power of forgiveness. It brings you back home to your fitrah, which is goodness, right? And it is a rebirth. And then finally, mercy and forgiveness go hand in hand. Ghafur exists because Rahim does. So Allah is constantly forgiving because He is the Rahim. It's His care and love for you that He has, that is so unconditional, that He's like, you know what? I forgive you. Don't worry about it. And so if Allah forgives you, if He forgive you, why are you so arrogant to perpetuate your own guilt? Allah's told us, do istighfar, wipe your slate clean. We've been told how to do it. So when you do sit in prayer and you cry your eyes out and you have that moment of just vulnerability with you and God, man, does He offload the burden from your heart. But once you have asked Him for forgiveness, forgive yourself as well. Assume and accept the highest of Allah, the best of Allah. Because it's in the way that you perceive Him. Allah says, I am how my servant thinks of me. How are you thinking about Him, right? Think that Allah wants to forgive me. He loves to forgive me. I want to share a story. I remember this was about maybe 2 years ago. I had a very, on and off relationship with Allah because of the way that I was raised and the way that I had learned about it and culturally about Islam and God. But I remember I was thinking to myself, like, God, I really want to be close to you, but I don't feel like praying, and I don't feel like fasting, and I don't feel like doing these things that everyone's doing, and I was so upset. And I remember I just picked up the Quran, and it opened up to this verse in Surah Baqarah, which translates to, as like it was, and then when a caller calls upon me, tell him I'm near. And I found that to be like, I cried my eyes out in that moment because it broke my heart, like in the best possible way, because Allah didn't say when a mu'min calls upon me, when a, you know, amazing Muslim calls upon me, when the person who fasts every day calls upon me, when a caller from anywhere in the world, wherever, tell him I'm near. That's our Rabb. That's our Lord. That's the doer of everything. That's the power you're moving with in your life. Do you know how much confidence and power we restore when we bring that iman, the God consciousness, the awareness that Allah is the doer of everything? So it not only becomes about forgiveness and nourishment, it's also then about moving differently in life, that when you fall sick, you go like, Allah, can you help me? And the little things. When you want money, you go like, all right, I know Allah's got me. No matter what you want, you ask Allah, because you know that, yes, we live in a world of means, of asbab. And yes, like, you know, there are ways to do things, but we move through God, with the help of God. You ask God first and He inspires you and you act. But you don't rely on the means. You don't fall, like, you know, falsely idolize them. That, oh my God, if this person fires me, what am I going to do? If this person does this, what am I going to do? You don't have to worry about it. God's got you. God's got you. Allah is your back. So this month is like, you know, and every day I think is about remembrance of that, of just the beauty of that, the gift of that, the love of that, that it doesn't matter how many times you failed. It doesn't matter how many times you've fallen. You call once again and He's right there. Like, I'm getting a bit emotional, but like, it's so true. Like, you know, because it hits home for me too. It doesn't matter what the external state of your Muslim, you know, thing looks like. The Meccan Quran, the first 13 years of the Quran, those were an establishment of iman and faith. The legalities came when the Prophet ﷺ went to Medina. But first 13 years was just a strengthening of iman and faith, the unseen, believing that over our perception. So, final note, a womb, it carries life, it carries possibility, it expands, and it perpetuates your growth. So forgiveness is the womb for your soul. It holds you in mercy, it regenerates you, it births you into a new timeline. So happy Ramadan, and I hope you have such a beautiful, blessed time. It is such a gift to connect with you in this human experience. It's such a gift to be of service to you and to get to share this with you. Love you guys so much. Literally all. And inshallah, I'll see you in the next one. One more thing I do want to tell you, something super exciting. I got so carried away with my emotions. But I have a 1 month program coming up, all right? So it's going to be 4 weeks, 2 sessions each week. It's going to be a live quantum leaping on steroids. It's called the Quantum Code, and I'm launching it very soon. It's going to happen inshallah in mid-April, so after Ramadan, and I'm going to give you guys enough time to like schedule it in, to sign up and all of that. And I will keep the investment at a low investment so that as many people who can join are able to. I am super, and we're gonna have payment plans as well, all right? But I'm giving you this heads up because I'm launching it probably this week only, and I just, like, this idea came to me out of nowhere, as all ideas do. It was shortly after the Law of Delusion transmission, and I was like, oh my God, like, it will be so great to do this entire container where we are on Zoom together and we go through this entire experience together. So that's going to be like forgiveness, that's going to be quantum leaping, that's going to be a lot of things and details I'll be sharing with you moving on. But I just want to tell you that, like, I am so excited for that experience because I truly believe that being in a space where we're doing this together, and then I'll probably maybe have a community for you to connect as well if you're in that container. So, you know, everyone's sharing, they're connecting, and we're all tapping into that energy together. And ultimately, it's all tied to God consciousness and activating that faith in our hearts and living from it. So I love you, and I look forward to sharing details about it with you. All right, Godspeed, and I'll see you next time.